If someone called you today saying your bank account was hacked, would you know what to do in the first 60 seconds? Stay tuned to learn more about the latest scams and how to avoid them.
Welcome to a Wiser Retirement Podcast, where we cut through the noise and bring you real, honest conversations about investing, retirement, and building lasting wealth. No sales pitches, no gimmicks, just everything your financial advisor won't tell you.
Hey, I'm Casey Smith. I'm here with Michaela Dowdy,
Hey, Casey.
superstar financial advisor. Your calendar's full.
Yeah, it's really booked right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's booked as mine. I think you're actually
Yeah.
more popular than me because mine stuff has a lot of Run Wiser stuff on it. You just have
You do
lots
have
of
a lot
people.
of Run Wiser, but that's the intention. That's the intention. So
Well, superstar Michaela here and I are going to talk about some of the biggest financial scams out there. And let me tell you, this is a hard one to prep for because I've caught a few myself here.
definitely.
Well, one at the firm, but just with me personally, mostly
Yeah.
people trying to get my social security number in devious ways. We'll talk about that later. So, right now, Americans have reported over $12 billion lost to fraud just in 2024. Think about that. $12 billion lost in fraud in 2024. Investment scams are responsible for $5 billion of that total, according to the Federal Trade Commission. Adults 60 and older filed 147,000 complaints in 2024 and lost $4.88 billion, a sharp jump versus 2023. From Internet Crime Complaint Center. In 2022, the FBI has offered thousands of decryption keys to victims of ransomware, avoiding over $800 million in payments. I can keep going on and on and on.
Well, I think the most interesting one too is this, podcast overall, we are kind of more focusing a little bit towards the older adults here. But something I found when I was really looking behind some of these, sources that we have here was that per the Federal Trade Commission, for all fraud that goes beyond just internet specific crime, really for younger adults, there's actually between ages 20 to 29, they actually have a higher rate of being and falling, to these different scams and fraud, even than older adults that are 70 and older. So 40% or 44% of 20 to 29-year-olds or 44% of the rates
that reminds
that
me,
come in.
Do you remember that time we had a marketing assistant?
Yes.
And she was brand new within the first couple of weeks. Well, these scammers, they know if you're a new employee somehow.
Yes.
And they contacted her with an email that looked like mine, but was not.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely not my email. It said, hey, while you're out. How did they know she was out? I have no idea. But they said, I think it was just by
so
chance.
Weird. Yes.
But while you're out,
she was literally out on an office errand.
She was out on an office errand, and they convinced her that she needed to, that I was convincing her, not really me, that she needed to pick up Amazon cards.
Yeah.
And she bought the most that you could buy at Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
And then she had called in to Hadley at the time and said, hey, I'm going to be late coming back because Casey's having me go get gift cards. And Hadley's like, you need to call me right now. Casey would never ask you to go get gift cards.
Yeah.
And she's like, so what happened exactly? She's like, well, I bought the gift cards, but I didn't have any company money. So I used my own credit card or her own debit card, actually.
Yeah.
And I scratched off the backs and I gave the person on the email the codes because she thought it was me.
Oh, goodness.
And she came back. She was $600.
Yeah.
She was scammed out of $600. And she's crying. I did the right thing. Don't worry. I wrote her a check for $600. And I said, look, here's $600. That's a life lesson. If you clicked on the email to see what the email was from, it started off with my name, but then it was a ton of letters. And it was not from Casey@wiserinvestor.com, which is my legit email.
Exactly.
And it has super security on it. So it's really hard, I think, to get into my email.
Yeah.
All of ours, actually.
Yeah.
I can't even get in my own email sometimes. but yeah, that's just, you said young people. And that's a story that I just remembered that
yes.
she was very young. I think there's some, we're going to go through several scams that are out there right now, but there's some psychology that you'll find in common. Why don't we go ahead and tell our listeners what those are so they can listen for it?
Yes. So there's always this emphasis on urgency. So it's, you need to be doing this immediately. And there's also this more of even secrecy and almost trying to isolate you from those around you, of
Mhm.
just saying, this is between you and me. Please don't tell other people. Or maybe it's
Mhm.
just, hey, let's go to this private messaging platform so we can communicate more securely, you know,
Right.
different things like that. And so it really is something, there's this emphasis on urgency of, we need to have this happen now, or this, and this are going to happen to you. You know, there's just a lot of, you know, it's really trying to appeal to your emotion of like, oh, I've got to get this done, or something horrible is going to happen. And so it's really understanding that psychology of it, of, okay, well, if this is this amount of urgency and they're really trying to isolate me in this, then
Right.
this should be raising alarms and red flags.
Yes. Urgency, secrecy, isolation. Think about that as we go through these. So
Mhm.
let's start with scam number 1, investment in too good to be true returns.
Yes. So this is actually the highest dollar of losses for older adults. So this is primarily where those older adults are really falling prey to these scams. And so 1.83 billion was lost to investment fraud in 2024. So we were talking about, you know, 5 billion of that total was, you know, investment scams last year, and 1.83 billion was from older adults. So those 60 and older. So it's definitely a number one loss category
Yeah.
overall for internet crime, but definitely is falling prey for those older adults as well. And the highest median individual losses is also $9,000, which is a large amount of money to be losing to a scammer. So definitely, you know, wanting to be mindful of what these scams are, because of course, this being the median, you know, there were people that lost a lot more. There's also some people that lost less, but we want to make sure that, you know, you're not falling prey to that. And they work in a few different ways, but mainly the big thing is they're trying to guarantee those returns. And
Mhm.
really, you know, saying you have exclusive availability to this IPO, or you can get risk-free income, or, you know, you can have those guaranteed returns, or even like your account needs to be moved for security. So saying, hey,
Mhm.
you've already been in a breach and we need to move your account.
Yeah.
You know, those kinds of things. So it's really trying to get access to your investment accounts so that then you can get those too good to be true returns.
A Ponzi scheme is a scam, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but that works the same way. They promise you these really high rate of returns. Maybe they hit a few and you get some
Yeah.
money back, and then at some point the game's up because they don't have enough money coming in to cover the money that has to go back out.
Definitely. A story that I found that just was so interesting to me, because it's actually a CEO of one of the AI companies out there. His name's James Jason, and this was reported on Yahoo Finance. And he just explains a time where he was actually scammed. And it was actually from a direct message on Instagram, is how he found this guy who was reaching out to him as a Forex trader. And so from there, he, you know, kind of got swindled into, okay, yeah, I'll let you trade some of my money for me. Ended up, he puts his money in, it's gaining incredible returns. So it says online when he
Mhm.
logs in. And then he goes to withdraw the money a few months later. The guy's ghosted. So completely no response, just crickets on the other line. And it ends up being that he lost a very significant amount of money. He doesn't disclose exactly what that is,
Yeah.
but he does say that he actually had to cut back on his living
Oh, wow.
in order to really recover from it. So, and he wasn't able to recover any of the losses. So there are times where you do just have to be really mindful. But it's really understanding that, I mean, this can come even just from, you know, those direct messages, and just, it seems like they're a really smooth talker and they can really make it seem like you're getting in this amazing investment, but then you end up falling prey to a scam, and it can look like it's the best opportunity, and it ends up not being.
That's the whole thing with investing. Is there's really no secret sauce, but a lot of people, especially super active traders, everyone thinks that there's something that they're missing. If they were in the right club, they can make all this money.
Yes.
And it doesn't really work that way. And we get a whole podcast on how it actually works.
Mhm.
But that's what people think. Is, oh, if I can get into on this fund, if I can do this thing. And really, if they just stayed in the S&P 500, diversified around that,
Yeah.
that's typically the highest rate of return. It's just
Exactly.
that there's time, and people who have higher earnings power, therefore have more money out there,
Mhm.
which in turn generates more dollars,
Yeah.
right? 10% rate of return on $100 is very different than $100 million.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You both got
Yes.
10%, but
Yeah.
but
It's just the returns.
yeah,
very
the
different.
returns get bigger. And
Mhm.
obviously business owners that run successful businesses eventually liquidate, and that creates a lot of wealth
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay away from anyone who is leading an investment or leading a conversation with, I can guarantee, or I can get you these high rate of returns.
Mhm.
It's really super exclusive, things of that nature.
Definitely. And a few other red flags that we noted here as well is, of course, like you're saying, the guaranteed anything, but also being moved to private messaging. And we'll talk through this a little bit more here later. But definitely, if they're talking through, well, let's get it on an encrypted platform, those kinds of things. Or also pressure to add money to recover your losses is another big thing.
Mhm.
And then fake dashboards, again, like showing gains that you can't withdraw. So just some things to be understanding of. And then also a big way to avoid this and what to do instead is to verify the person or the firm that you're communicating with through databases on the SEC website or even FINRA's website. Or you can even call the known number that they have and, see it, or if they have one, they can even provide for you. And so it's really understanding, are they, being cleared through the right institutions, and then never send money to anyone that you need to unlock profits for either, is another,
Mhm.
thing to just be aware of as well.
So BrokerCheck, you can go to brokercheck.com,
Mhm.
run by the FINRA and SEC. If they're an SEC registered firm, they'll switch you over to the SEC site automatically. But even people who are licensed advisors, you'd be careful
Mhm.
there too.
Yeah.
We have 2 near our office that
Mhm.
have very bad records.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see clients walking in those doors every
Mhm.
single week thinking, did they not check this guy's record? Like, you ought to be in jail.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, I think a lot of people just aren't aware of those
yeah.
platforms being out there, and so it's definitely something the more you know about that, then the better you can be.
So go to brokercheck.com if you have questions. Typically more aggressive advisors that are selling products that are more aggressive or trained to be more aggressive are going to have black marks in their record just because of that.
Definitely.
You ready to go to number 2?
Yes.
Imposter scams, government, bank,
Yes.
and tech support.
I know.
We have a client that I have to pay extra attention to. She's doesn't have any family. She lives in assisted living.
Mhm.
And we went through a period with her phone, and
Mhm.
she would get these alerts on her phone that said, you have a virus on your phone.
Yep.
And she would pay the $499 to get the virus off of her phone, but there was no virus on her iPhone.
Yep.
Right. So
Yeah.
So eventually we had to find ways to remove her ability to pay for things online,
Mhm.
and that kind of solved it. But then she still would call in going, I have all these viruses on my phone. I need you to come get them off right away. These viruses are just all over my phone. And she would get all worked up and really
Yeah.
agitated about it. I drive out there and try to clean her phone up as best I could. But
Yeah.
the problem is she goes out there on the web trying to buy things, and those are probably scams too. I don't know. I think she's trying to buy
Exactly.
things that don't ever actually show up at her house.
Yes. And that's a big one
Right.
too. Exactly. Yes.
So, all right, that's kind of a story of how that works. I think you have to pay really attention to older people
Mhm.
especially people who had computers. They would get viruses, and they had a virus,
Yeah.
Norton antivirus, and say, you have a virus, and they go, oh no, and I'm going to scrub my virus, and that
Mhm.
makes sense to them.
Yes.
But the reality is your iPhone is probably not getting a virus.
Yeah, most of the time, no.
Yeah.
Unless you just downloaded something crazy.
You're right.
But you have to work really hard. Apple does a really good job with their virus protection
Exactly.
most of the time. So, but the big thing is with this one is that it is the most reported category, and it does have huge losses associated with it because it's the most reported.
Mhm.
So 2.95 billion was lost in 2024 to this category. And a lot of this comes from, phishing or what they call spoofing as well. So it's, trying to fake as someone else, as well as, tech support there too. And then government impersonation as well. So, making sure that, you're taking care of yourself on that front. And I found a very similar story to what you were explaining earlier, and that there's this woman who's 90 years old, was very well versed, used her phone all the time, had social media, all the things for her
Mhm.
family. And she as well was convinced that her phone had a virus on it or needed assistance in some way from a tech support company. And she ended up losing $20,000
Wow.
because they got access to her device and were able to get into her bank account. And so just definitely something to be mindful of, because this really can come from a lot of places, whether it's they're pretending to be IRS, Social Security, Medicare, those are really common. Your
Mhm.
bank's fraud department even, or even, Microsoft, Apple, or like the Best Buy Geek Squad saying that you have, to be mindful of this and that they're trying to create panic
Yeah.
because your account's been compromised. And so we're really trying to, combat that, and make sure that you're aware of those red flags, because it really is something that is very, as we can see, very big issue.
What happened to me last week is I think someone actually tried to apply for American Express card using my information, but they
Mhm.
didn't have my social. So they sent me an email that looked a lot like American Express and said your application number is, and it was only 4 digits. It was like 8695. And I thought that was strange. That's a very low application number for, you think the number of application that America Says probably gets, right?
Exactly.
And then, but I called the number because I didn't apply for American Express card,
Mhm.
but I do a lot of business with American Express.
Mhm.
So I called the number and the lady answered. It was an Asian voice who was very, very happy to hear from me. And I was like, American Express is never this happy to hear from me. That was my first clue. And then I didn't hear any beeps in the background. Like they always have beeps in the background because
yeah.
they're recording or whatever.
Mhm.
And I thought that was strange. And I said, hey, there's an application out for a card evidently, but I didn't apply for it. And you guys sent me an email and you called and left me a message saying that
Mhm.
someone's applied. Give
Yeah.
us a call so we can complete your application.
Mhm.
Or you have applied. Give us a call so we can complete your application. So I called that number. And she was insistent on getting my social security number so she could look me up. And I'm like, wait a minute, you called me. Like you called me
Yeah.
and I'm calling you back and you have my phone number on file. I've never had to give my social security number for any reason to call American Express. American Express travel,
Yeah.
fraudulent charge, whatever, right? So I said, I'm not comfortable giving my social security number. Like, I'm not giving my social security number out. She's like, oh, this is how we can find the application. I was like, absolutely not. So I just hung up on her.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I'm just going to wait for real American Express to call me. So they called me and said, hey, there's an application out. We need more information for the application. I said, yes, I did not file for an application. They're like, oh, okay. We're going to close this application out. And then they're like, we're reading me this report on I should contact the 3 credit bureaus, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, well, this is definitely sounds like American Express at this point.
Yep.
So you just have to be very, very careful about
Definitely.
what you do.
Mhm.
A long time ago, we had a client that called me immediately and said, hey, there's a problem. I said, what's the problem? She says, well, someone called me and said, hey, I'm sorry. We were just talking a little while ago. I didn't get your social security number to complete your application. Can you give that to me real quick? And she goes, I was kind of flustered because I couldn't remember who I was talking to a little while ago. And so I just gave him my social security number.
Oh,
And I was like,
goodness.
oh no. And so we signed her up for LifeLock pretty quickly. LifeLock, I don't know. The whole story behind LifeLock is the CEO put his social security number on all the billboards. And you remember this?
No, wait.
Yeah. So I don't know, this is maybe 10 years ago or so when they came out, but he put all his social security numbers up on his personal social security numbers, all the bulletin boards, and said, I'm so confident that you won't get your identity stolen. I'm giving you my personal social security number. Well, he was identity stolen like 7 times. He had applications filed as social security number like 29 times. So even that system, he had to take it down. Even that system didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, don't you basically just have to get a new social security number?
Right.
I feel like social security is like, gosh, you really screwed up.
yeah,
Here's start over.
You're gonna start over. So yeah, and even like if even the Department of Defense can be hacked. We're probably gonna have issues at some point, but don't be stupid.
No.
And that's part of the problem with all these
Yeah.
scams is people are reluctant to go and get help immediately. Like the lady who called me,
Yeah.
she swallowed her pride and she was like, hey, I think I screwed this up. I need your help. What do I do? Where a lot of people are like, oh, because they don't want to tell anybody because then they feel foolish.
Yeah.
And so that makes it worse, right?
Definitely.
It starts getting worse because of
Yeah.
that. But it's just, you have to be careful. Like the IRS doesn't call people,
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's another one. They
Yeah.
they like to call you up and say you owe money to the IRS and you got to pay them. You got to pay them through.
You're going to go to jail.
Yeah,
You don't pay
you
them.
pay through Zelly or meet them
Oh.
in the street corner and pay them in cash or something. And it's like that's not how the IRS works.
Yeah.
They're going to send you
Yeah.
letters. They're not.
Mhm.
Maybe an email. I don't know. I don't know if they communicate through email, but I know they communicate through
Yeah.
letters.
Yeah, they definitely communicate through letters. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I don't know. But definitely something to be aware of because these are definitely even more common. And so really the big thing to do though, if you do catch yourself in one of these situations, is really just to hang up and then, like you were saying, call the institution that you know that was associated with and just
Yeah.
verify everything's okay. Or even, you know, like we're saying too, freeze your accounts just to make sure that those are, you know, set to go and that no money's going to be taken out or anything like that. Before we jump back into the episode, do you know if you are ready to take off and launch into retirement? Get your pre-retirement checklist, a free guide from Wiser Wealth Management. From cash flow to Social Security, we've got your countdown covered. Go to wiserinvestor.com/guides to download your free guide today. Now let's get back to the episode.
Number 3, this one's sad. Romance and relationship scams.
No, this one is really sad because it's just more emotionally devastating than anything else. And I
Yeah.
think this is something too that I was looking at, you know, looking for another, you know, personal story of this happening to someone. There's this sweet woman, Rita, and she lives in Montana, and she lost about $90,000 over the course of several months to this person who is acting as a celebrity and had started private messaging her on social media, moved her over to like an encrypted platform saying that their team, like their social media team, monitors all of their, you know, social media accounts
Mhm.
and that they wanted to talk more privately to her. And so they moved over to that platform. Both of them were going through a divorce at the time. So like he was as well, apparently. And so then he started asking her for money and she started sending it to him via Bitcoin was
Oh,
the big
wow.
way that he wanted to receive that, or they wanted to receive it.
Mhm.
And it was just really heartbreaking to me because how what she said, she goes, yes, I lost $90,000, which is a lot of money. But at the end of the day, the biggest part was that I lost my heart and I lost my soul, which is a big part of me. And it took a really long time to, you know, feel confident with myself again after that. Because she still has the text messages and she's like, I reread these, you know, and
Yeah.
realized just how I was just in such a bad spot emotionally. I was really looking forward to these text messages every day, and someone took advantage of me for that.
Yeah.
And so it's just really heartbreaking for that, for someone to really, you know, or these companies. I'm sure it's not just one person on the other line, but
Right.
you know, just these places to be really taking
Which is
advantage
strange.
of people.
You have to assume they probably talked on the phone and, you know, right?
Yeah, you would think
It wouldn't
so.
just be chat. That'd be
Mhm.
weird.
Yeah, no, I would agree.
Yeah. We had a scenario recently in the office. I did not meet with them. I think Andrew did actually, but it was related to cryptocurrency scam.
Mm,
But it was a guy who met a pretty girl
yeah.
and thought there was feelings there, and then they formed a relationship, and she convinced him to start putting money into this crypto investment, and the whole thing was a scam. Like she was never really into him. It was just
Yeah.
about the money for whoever she's working for, or maybe she's working for herself. I don't know.
That's awful.
Poor guy, you know, he thinks like, hey, you know, someone actually cares about me, and then oh no,
No, that was just a cash grab.
no, yeah, that's really sad.
No, definitely. And I think the big red flags here to realize if you ever find yourself in one of these situations is, you know, looking at, will they video chat with you? You know, or is there always an excuse for why they won't?
Mhm.
Or, you know, if they're asking for secrecy or, you know, or if they're even asking for money for like emergencies and that kind of thing. And you've only known each other a few months,
Yeah,
you know, or even if they're trying to move you off the original platform that you met on, then that's another, you know, red flag to be raised as well. So definitely just some opportunities to look at there. But really the big thing is letting your friends into this or letting a trusted advisor into a situation like this, you know, and even if it's just like, hey, I've met this person and, you know, this is what's going on, you know, like most people do, you start
Yeah.
talking about those that are important to you, but it's really letting them into, even when there is money starting to be asked for, like, hey, do you think this is like, you know, something that I should be doing? Or do you think this is something that seems legitimate?
yeah.
You know, I just want another set of eyes on this before, you know, I start doing that.
Yeah, everyone wants to feel loved. That's like human nature, right? So this one would hurt worse for people. So you do have to be vigilant for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. Next one, falls into more of the urgency. Look out. Scam number 4 is what we call it. Family emergency grandparent scams. Now with AI, but this is really scary. I have not witnessed this, but how you defend against it could be very. You'd have to be really on top of things.
You would, and you'd have to have proactive measures put in place.
Yeah, there's one good proactive measure that a family, the next holiday that comes up, a family should consider about. I don't want to steal it from you.
No, you're good. You're good. So the big thing now is AI voice cloning, which I'm sure all of us at this point have, seen AI videos, AI photos, all things AI on social media. And it's really easy now to even have voices, shifted as well. And so the big thing, since there is social media out there, our voices are out there, like mine and Casey's are out there right now on a podcast.
Right.
It's very easy to then take this information and say, I want them to be saying this, urgent emergency, or, and act in lieu of, a family member, and really, cause older adults, or even, just people that love you. It doesn't necessarily have to be older adults, but this is something we're seeing more common. That's their target demographic that they're going after, to exploit, your protective instincts here, which is really, heartbreaking again. And I found a story from ABC News 7 in LA, who was talking to this man, Anthony, and he received a phone call from his son saying, hey, Dad, I've been in a car accident and I have hit a pregnant woman. They're rushing her to the hospital. It's all it was is, I'm letting you know this is what's happened. And this is what's going on with my day. And Dad's like, okay, just encouraging whatever needs to happen in that moment as a dad. And they hang up. A few minutes later go by. He gets a phone call from an attorney. The attorney saying, hey, your son's being arrested. His bail is $9,200. If you don't pay the bail, then he's going to be in jail for 45 days.
Oh my gosh.
So then he goes to the bank, withdraws the $9,200, tells the bank he's taking it out for solar panels because he doesn't want them to know, which I thought was a fascinating choice.
Strange. Not trusting the bank.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then pulls out the $9,200, takes it, then calls them back and is like, what do we need to do with this money? Now he's also let his daughter into this as well. So he's called his daughter at some point during this. They're both at the point where, okay, how do we get this money?
Yeah.
They call an Uber. The company does. So they're on the phone. They're like, hey, we're going to send you an Uber and you're just going to give it to the Uber driver and they'll bring it to us.
Ooh.
So
Which Uber's not supposed to do that, by the way.
No. And so then Uber shows up, like I think via the app even. Like they confirm the license plate, they confirm the driver, everything checks out. So they hand the envelope over.
Yeah.
Then
like cold hard cash, I guess.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Then they drive away. They get another phone call sometime later saying the pregnant woman has passed away in the hospital. So now his bail has gone up to $25,000 from the $9,200. So they still owe like $15,800 or something like that. So then they go to the bank again, go get the funds, and then come back, do the same process all over again, get Uber, they take it. And then finally comes to a point where the daughter's like, And they've tried to call the son at this point at different points. Of course, it's going to voicemail, which then they're like, okay, that checks out because he's in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Like this all makes sense. And so then they, finally the daughter's like looking up, what's going on, that kind of thing, and realizes and looks at her dad and goes, I think we might have just been scammed. And they realized they had. But it was just this story took me aback because it really shows the commitment of these scammers and how elaborate they'll go.
Absolutely. This is also a lesson to young people. If your mama or your daddy calls you, answer the damn phone.
There you go. Very true. Very
true. Sometimes my kids don't answer. I'm like, I pay for your cell phone. Like, why are you not answering the phone?
Literally. I pay to have access. Like,
oh my gosh. That's crazy.
No.
Well, Yeah. And so they probably turn that over to authorities. And I feel like authorities are bombarded with these things. They do nothing.
Mhm.
In a few cases that I dealt with clients in situations, not that elaborate,
Yeah.
but situations, we've called authorities and they say, okay, thank you for this information. And
Mhm.
nothing will ever happen again,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
because they're so hard to track down. And that's the big
Yeah.
thing. Even I was reading too, there was one that was caught in 2023, one of the larger, scammers, and they caught the company, or I don't even know if you can call them a company,
Yeah.
but they caught all of them, dismantled it. And then the FBI really was of this, okay, it's going to be, so much less traffic now
Right.
because we've caught this big conglomerate of it all. And then ended up being, nope, just as much. It really didn't make a
Didn't
dent.
change. That's
And
crazy.
so it's just one of those where it's constantly evolving so quickly
Yeah.
too. That more and more
Unfortunately,
people are
the
getting
penalty
into
is
it.
not death by firing squad. If they made
No.
it death by firing squad, maybe less people will be doing this.
Maybe.
Uh,
But it's really is just being aware overall of, that when you're getting those phone calls of I'm in this bad situation, confirm it with other family members. Maybe saying, hey, even if it's your grandchild saying I'm in jail, do not call mom and dad. Do not let them know.
right.
Please just bail me out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you're not calling mom and dad, call brother or sister. They're going to know. Especially in today's day and age, we have a lot of software now where people are sharing their locations with their loved ones.
Yeah. Find My Friends.
Yeah.
Life 360.
Exactly. So it's something that, someone in the family likely has their location at this
Sure.
point if they're a younger adult.
Right.
Or if they don't, then it's a friend that's going to have it. Like someone's going to have their location. And then that
Right.
can also help you verify if this is true.
Yeah.
Are they actually sitting at the jail right now?
Right.
Is their phone at the courthouse? Or
Right.
is it actually, okay, no, they're over here at Wendy's.
Yeah.
Like they're fine. So
Right.
it's, looking at that as well. So really pausing to verify with a family member. Or, and I think this is where you were going, Casey, setting up a family safe word.
Mhm.
And this is huge, is understanding, okay, well, if you find yourself in this situation, well, then what's our safe word? What's the word that we're saying? Is it going to be purple, apple, something, whatever?
Yeah.
What's specific to us that makes sense? And, probably making it something very obscure as well. So not something that could be easily guessed, I
Yeah.
guess.
Not something not found in your social media,
Exactly.
your pet name or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
keeping that, something that's harder to figure out, but really, setting that up as well. And something I kind of thought through this too is as we're getting more common with AI, and there's a lot of, even like financial institutions where we want verbal confirmation and all this other stuff. I could even see that, financial institutions have to go to, if we call you, we need you to be able to repeat this code back to us.
Yeah. Right.
And we're going to have it on file and you have to have it and, or that you have to repeat this word to us,
Yeah.
or something like that so that we can verify it to you on the other line. So I could see this happening even on a business level as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Let's go to number 5, online shopping, delivery, and charity scams. Seasonal, but
Mhm.
pretty consistent.
Yes. And
I
I think
always wonder about those people calling me up to give money to the police. I'm like, are you really the police? And the firemen, are you
Probably
really the
not.
firemen?
Probably not.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
No, I would say probably no on that one. But definitely, being aware of, common around the holidays, like we were saying, or even disasters, so natural disasters, or even like election cycles. These are really common. And I think the one that probably a lot of us are most aware of currently is the fake shipping alerts, or even
Mhm.
the fake toll saying you're behind on a toll.
Yeah, everybody in Atlanta knows
Those-
that one.
Yes. So these are the top 2 that I think have really kind of taken the world by storm here in 2025. That everyone's really, been very aware of, because I know I've probably gotten 5 or 6 of those over time.
Right.
And, it's funny because I feel like when I used to get them many years ago, it was always, well, it's trafficking. We were always like, it's trafficking. They're trying to track you, which could still be the case. But that's what you're always told as a woman is
Oh,
don't
yeah.
click on those because they're trafficking.
Mhm.
And now it's more so, okay, well, maybe it's not trafficking. Maybe it could be too. But the another one is also that it could be is they're trying to find your financial information as well.
Yeah.
So it's being mindful on both of those fronts. We're talking more finances here, but those are big areas to be aware of those 2, which I think we're all kind of aware of and are pretty quick to delete at this point
Yeah.
when they come through. But another thing that I feel like is very common as well, especially, around the holidays or birthdays, just the time where you're buying things, is really one Atlanta woman, even, which is really local to us, she had a dress that caught her eye online via one of the Google ads, Instagram ads. She clicked on it, went to purchase it. It originally said it was $400, but they were going to price it down to $40. It was on this amazing sale. And so she purchases it and ends up that she never receives the dress, and her card was charged $700. And throughout the entire process, she looked like she was going through PayPal.
Yeah.
Everything was very official looking.
Right.
But it ended up being, and it's one of those cases of it's too good to be true, likely.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's just one of those things where you have to, and it's really tough even in those moments to say, oh, how was I supposed to know that? Like, it all looks so official, you know? And so it was just one of those things that was even noted by, you know, the FBI in Atlanta as one of those to just be aware of, because it is something that they're calling it now malvertising.
I can see that living on Facebook Marketplace pretty well.
Yes, exactly.
Especially with cars. Sometimes you see a car on Facebook Marketplace, you're like, man, that's a really good deal. And you're just like,
Maybe
I don't think you can buy a
shouldn't.
Ford F-250 for $50,000. That's like brand new. That's not going to happen, right?
Definitely. And then something else they commented on as well here from the FBI was sometimes they're even seeing that with Google results, being mindful of those, because just because a website shows up at the top, even if it's promoted or advertised as a result, it can still mean that it's illegitimate. So just be mindful of that.
Because they did a good job of fooling Google,
exactly.
or just did paid advertising to get themselves to the top.
Exactly. So just be very mindful there. Really a good way to even kind of see this is maybe, well, not even, because they can fake reviews now. So I was going to say maybe even looking at reviews of products before you purchase those.
Right.
But
our reviews are
even
real,
at that point,
but, you know,
yes.
at our firm, our reviews are real.
So really, when you're looking to do, whether it's online shopping, making sure your deliveries are on time, charity, donations, those kinds of things, it's really making sure you're doing that through the official websites. So if you're going to donate and say you're donating to the Salvation Army, well, then make sure you're donating to the Salvation Army directly through their website.
Right.
Or if you're donating to a local charity, make sure you're doing that directly through that charity's website, or you're contacting their local office directly. You know, don't try and do this separately outside of those parameters, because you could open yourself up to a scam. And then for tracking those packages, make sure you're only tracking those via the retailer or even via, you know, the shipment company as well. So just making sure that you're only utilizing those known links that you have and not really venturing out to any other opportunity there.
Good advice. So the scammer's playbook is urgency, fear, secrecy, isolation, authority impersonation, fix it now with this payment method. These are all indications that something's not right. And honestly, I think our gut tells us that, right?
Definitely.
Our gut kind of says like, this doesn't quite seem right to me.
Yes.
Kind of like my Amex experience or my fake Amex experience. So what do we do if we think we're targeted?
Stop communication with whoever you're talking to at that point. So whether it's just hanging up the phone or stopping, you know, any online communication, and then don't send any money.
Right.
Especially if it's
or
like
any more money
right. To recover money, anything like that. You should not have to send money. And then call your bank using, you know, a trusted number that you've already contacted them through, or going, if your bank is brick and mortar, going to the office itself. Or the branch itself, you know. And then also, if you do find yourself victim to one of these, then make sure you're reporting that to the Federal Trade Commission website or report site, as well as the FBI. They have the internet crime segment now. So it's called the IC3. And so you can also report cyber-enabled fraud there as well. And also just make sure that you're sharing these warnings with your friends and family. Because, you know, you can only act as well as you're educated. So definitely something there to just encourage your, you know, loved ones and your friends there as well. Even if it's, you know, around a nice table at dinner, just saying, hey, this is, you know, what we're focused on moving forward, and making sure that you're not victim to one of these.
All good advice. Thank you, Michaela. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're interested in learning more about Wiser Wealth Management or want to schedule a consultation, meet with one of our fiduciary financial advisors, you can do so by going to wiserinvestor.com or clicking the link in the episode notes. See you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to a Wiser Retirement podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. That way you don't miss any new episodes. We'd also appreciate if you could leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about anything that was discussed today, head to wiserinvestor.com and reach out. This podcast is strictly for informational purposes only and is not to be considered as investment advice or solicitation to buy or sell any financial products, securities, digital assets, or any other investment vehicles, or a basis to make any financial decisions. Wiser Wealth Management Incorporated is a registered investor advisor with the SEC. The host and/or guests may personally own securities, digital assets, or other investment vehicles mentioned on this podcast. Neither the host nor guests of the show are compensated for their participation, and no referral fees are paid to or received by any host or guest for clients, listeners, or similar interests. Investments involve risk, and unless otherwise stated, are not guaranteed. Be sure to first consult with a qualified financial advisor, tax professional, insurance professional, and/or legal professional before implementing any strategy discussed herein. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.